Hi, Ron MacLean. Claire, I want to thank you for this opportunity to impart some wisdom. I am sitting on the set of the legendary Coach's Corner with Don Cherry, so imparting wisdom is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. You know, if I was to say one thing to you, obviously we all seek it, wisdom, and you listen to the sages and the poets, and that's all great, and education is great. But the one thing I would say, my sort of truth is wisdom comes from knowing what to overlook. It's a real key to the deal. You're going to be distracted by more things than you can imagine in your life. Vanity will distract you. Victory will distract you. The 7 deadly sins, envy, pride, gluttony, you can look them up. All those things will kind of get in the way, but that's okay. That's part of you being you, and you got to forgive those flaws in yourself, and more important, you got to forgive those flaws in others. You'll never accomplish a great idea or an achievement without somebody else. I needed Don, 31 years, and I've got lots of other colleagues who've helped me along the way. And I think of John Wood, was a paddler in 1976 at the Olympics in Montreal. He was competing in canoe, and just before the race, there was a guy named Alexander Rogov of Russia, or the Soviet Union at the time, trying to get oil off his hands. The committee boats, the camera boats, they get oil in the water, and if the paddlers get that on their hands, they're done. So John Wood, the Canadian, had a towel with some sandpaper sewn in. He handed it to Rogov just before the race, and wouldn't you know it, in the race, Rogov beat him by 34/100ths of a second for the gold medal. I don't remember the race. I barely remember Rogov won the gold medal. I remember what John Wood did, and that is knowing what to overlook. So do that in your life, and you will, guaranteed, create a community and you'll reap its rewards.
Hi there, my name is Adam Van Koeverden. I'm Claire's Olympic friend, and I have a couple of thoughts on community to share with you today. The first community that really sticks out in my mind when I consider the word is the Chautauqua Co-op. That's a place in Oakville. That's where I grew up. It's community housing, social housing, and it was a great place to be when I was a kid. And what it really did for my brother and I is allowed my mom to send us to summer camps and to sports and to do all the sorts of things that we take for granted as kids. And when I think back to my early years growing up there and what a warm community it was, and how it really filled all the gaps in my life and made me feel safe, I'm very thankful. And I consider the stigma that social housing has sometimes as being sort of a gritty, rough place or a dangerous place. I'm quick to correct anybody on that stigma. The second one is the Burloak Canoe Club, and that's the canoe club where I learned to paddle. In 1995, my mom answered an ad in the newspaper that said future champions wanted, and she called up and said, "Hey, my kid's not an athlete, but I need a place to store him after school." I was sort of too young to take care of myself and too old for a babysitter, so I started going down to the canoe club, and like I said, I wasn't an athlete, but they quickly taught me what it was to be an athlete and showed me that I had some potential in kayaking. And within sort of 10 years of starting, I'd gone off to the Olympics and won a couple of medals for Canada. And it was through the power of a community, a strong community, a community full of volunteers and people willing to help other people, that I was able to develop as an athlete. And in the case of Chautauqua Co-op, just develop as a good young human. So as you're embarking on your next mission or your journey, really consider surrounding yourself with the type of people that you want to be, and surrounding yourself with people that excite you and challenge you, and help develop a really warm environment. But also consider that you're part of that environment, and now you're leaders, and you have a very strong obligation to engender and maintain and create those communities around the people that you work with. So good luck on your next journey.
Albert Schweitzer said that example is the only way of influence. And I found this to be true when I started my own small business. And my business started out of a hobby, and it grew exponentially into a business very fast without much planning. And it was a lot of hard work. And my husband, who was an entrepreneur, was in his own business, enjoying the journey of his business. I was working hard, doing well, but I found it tedious. So he showed me by example that dreaming big, using his networks and celebrating his successes made the journey very enjoyable. And I followed that example. One of the most important things was having someone like him to share the successes with. So at every stage of the journey, we could stop and celebrate and retell the story of how things had been. And in that retelling was often and usually the seeds of the next dream and the next stage of the journey.
Hi, my name is Bruce Croxon. I've been an entrepreneur all my life, and I can tell you, looking back on my career, that the biggest single factor separating success from failure has been the quality of people I've chosen to surround myself with. My biggest victories have been when the team has been tight. We're all going the same way, thinking the same way, trying to achieve the same common goal. No egos at the table. Conversely, when I've failed, and I have failed, it's been a result of people that have not been a fit. I may have been seduced by a technical skill I didn't feel the team had, but the fit wasn't right. Nothing is bigger than the values of the people you choose to hang with. I urge everybody to think very carefully as you go forward, what kind of people do I need to surround myself with to go where I need to go? The right people, working the right way, rowing the same boat, can achieve anything. Good luck to all of you.
One day I was at school and one of my very close friends asked me questions about my faith. They were very tough questions and I had a hard time answering them. When I got home, that encouraged me to go learn more about what I believe in. And it felt good to know that one of my friends felt comfortable enough to challenge me and cared about what I thought. I think it made me a better person.
In the heat of my alcohol and drug addiction, the lies and self-loathing had completely separated me from the real world. If I was not high or drunk, I was spending my time frustrated and confused that I could no longer relate to people. I sought many forms of recovery, clinical treatments, rehabilitation, withdrawal management, counselors, and although that was helpful, I found the most impactful form of recovery for me was reintegrating into society and exploring the possibilities of a new life. A lot of this done with recovery groups, but as well as becoming involved in my community. I met with many people, learned to express myself and my newfound emotions, as well as listen to other people and their experiences in recovery and in life. Being treated with compassion and empathy and not so much sympathy began to make me feel human again, like I had not felt like that in a long time. I'm now very involved in the community. I consider myself an advocate and an activist. I want to give back to those who have helped me to recover. I am a soft shoulder to lean on and sometimes a hard push, as I know that I could not have recovered and sustain this sobriety without the help of others and involvement of the community.